Hey guys, welcome to our call. I am so excited to get this started. I mean, this call is definitely going to kind of kick off everything and really just help kind of set the tone for the rest of the month. And I think it's really going to be a huge, huge game changer for your business. And so I think that that's one of the most exciting and important things about this call is the potential that it has to completely change your business, not just this month, but every month going forward. So what we're going to cover today and what this challenge is going to do for you guys is it's going to help you overcome your fear of prospecting, but not only overcome the fear of prospecting, but have confidence while you're doing it. And it's going to help you build a team, but build a team in a duplicatable way so that when you're onboarding ambassadors, they are empowered to duplicate and build just like you do. And we're also going to teach you guys how to make meaningful connections while talking Plexus to people and become an expert at getting people off of the fence. I know that that's a big thing that a lot of us deal with. And we're also going to teach you guys through this a little bit about motivating your existing team to start taking action as well. So sounds good, right? We're going to do this all through teaching you guys on this call today a three-part prospecting system. So just 3 parts, super simple. But you guys, this is going to be jam-packed with some really powerful information, and it's going to be even more successful for you guys because we're doing it as part of this big group. So there's going to be a lot of learning opportunities and sharing of knowledge and that sort of thing. One thing to think of as you guys are kind of moving through this and just in general in your business later on is that you guys are each the leader of your team. Even if you don't have anybody on your team yet, you're the leader of your team. You're opening your business doors and you're going to be creating a team going forward. So you're automatically already a leader if you're looking at building a business with Plexus. And so being the leader, you kind of bear the responsibility of how much your team shows up, the pace that they grow at, and what you're doing as a leader kind of determines what they end up doing as well. So how we have to kind of show our team that it's possible to grow, and we all know that success loves speed. So this prospecting challenge is going to kind of show us how to do that and let us show our teams how to do that as well. And honestly, you guys, sometimes the best thing that we can do for our own teams is to hit our own goals because it shows them the possibility of it. So I know that with this, many of us struggle in this business because we're stuck in that success mindset. I did a live on this yesterday, so if you didn't catch it, definitely go catch it. But we're kind of stuck in the kind of the what's in it for me cycle. We're stuck in making the sale. We're prospecting with the goal of making a sale. And that's great, and it brings about happiness, but we're stuck in that kind of salesperson mentality, and it doesn't bring fulfillment in the end. It brings some success, but it doesn't bring fulfillment, which is our ultimate goal. And success, like I said, brings happiness, but significance, I want you guys to kind of key into that word. Significance brings fulfillment. And significance, I can't talk. Significance is led by impact, the impact that you make on others around you. So basically, if you look at this as a never-ending cycle or a circle of giving and getting, you give impact and you get results. Whereas when you have a success mindset, you are getting results and then you're giving impact. And that's kind of the opposite way of that we want you to run your business. So basically, what we're going to try and do with this prospecting challenge is to teach you guys how to get into that mindset of significance instead of the mindset of success, how you can impact others. So leading with giving will in turn allow you to start getting. So giving leads to getting to a level in this business that you've never ever seen before. And so we're really, really excited about this prospecting challenge. But we want you guys to start looking at this business as a means to impact others. This is a network marketing business, so we can do that in so many different ways. We can impact others through our products, through our knowledge, through the opportunity, through helping others kind of be a better version of themselves. And the big thing down the road is the global impact that we can have down the road through many different things, even things outside of Plexus that the monetary benefits of Plexus allow us to do, you know? So as we move through this prospecting challenge, using this approach, we want you to just kind of feel better about what you have to say and be more confident about what you have to say. So with that being said, most people lead with the how and the what, and that's a big mistake. So that's more of like the features and benefits. So when you're prospecting, you're leading with the how and the what. You're explaining what you're selling and how it works and that kind of thing. And that's a mistake because that is leading people towards making a logical decision on whether or not to buy Plexus or start Plexus. And as humans, we just aren't logical creatures. We're emotional creatures. And we make our decisions based on emotions before we make our decisions based on logic. So while all of that is important, we need to lead with that emotional decision making, which is leading with a why, with the why that we're doing this, and connect with people in an emotional way. People are going to buy what you do, or sorry, buy why you do it before they buy what you do. So I'm going to turn this over to Amy, and she's going to talk about this approach that we're going to teach you guys in this prospecting challenge. Oh, you're muted.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm unmuted. You know, I'm really excited about this. We're going to start talking about exactly what Sarah said. But first, I want you guys to give yourself a pat on the back for being here. I used to have an old boss tell me that raising tides rise all ships. I didn't really understand what that meant, but you guys are the tide. If you want to increase your team's success, you have to be the tide to do that. So by you guys doing this prospecting challenge, it's just going to raise the tide for your team. Now, you heard Sarah mention that we are not logical creatures, which is odd because you would think we spend so much time in network marketing or in Plexus talking about what we do and how we're different, right? We talk about gut health, inflammation, clean ingredients, clinical trials. We're debt-free. We have 2-day shipping. We get paid 11 different ways. We focus on all that. But guess what? No one cares. No one cares if you haven't made them feel inspired with emotion on the front end. We make decisions based on emotion, not facts, because if we were logical creatures and people were making decisions based on those facts, they'd all jump on board with us, right? Of course they would. But we have to make them feel and hit those emotions that inspires them into action. And the way we do this is to share your why. However, it's a little bit different than what we typically think about, right? You guys have been in Plexus for a while. You've heard us all talk about your why. What's your why? Oh, you want to get the Lexus. You want to retire your husband. You want to pay for your bills. This is a little bit different. We are going to help you figure out what's called an impact goal. And that's what we're going to start with. And that's going to lead us into your why. Because listen, people will buy your why long before they buy the what or the how. So people buy into you before the products or the business. And this impact goal, this sharing your why with people, which is the first step in this challenge, is what's going to do it. You know, you might hear us say often, or I've told my team a lot, that it doesn't really matter what you're selling, right? People are buying because of you. Plexus just happens to be the awesome product you have, but it doesn't really matter what that is. They're buying into you first. So you are going to create your story. And the first thing you want to ask yourself, right? So everyone, you're going to get out some paper and you're going to be taking some notes, because this is not something you're going to be able to complete right now. You're going to have to do it in the hour after this call, or an hour tonight, 45 minutes. I want you to ask yourself, what led you to start your Plexus business? Think about your life before Plexus, whether that was 2 weeks ago or whether that was 4 years ago. Ask yourself what led you to this business. And when you think of your impact goal that we're looking at, I want you to think of 5 big topics: time, money, security, health, and purpose. Because really everyone, I think, and we think, everyone is walking around and they're lacking in at least one of these things. All right. So think about, what were you missing that caused you to get started in Plexus? Now, for a lot of people, it might be health, right? But for me, what got me started in this business, it was time, health, and purpose. Now, we want to try to narrow that down. So you really want to narrow that down to really one or two things. So I focus on time and health. You heard me share my story a lot about that daggone commute that I hated, and I hated being tied to somebody else's work schedule. So mine was time. And then health. I was a tired, exhausted new mom just going through the motions, and that was impacting everything else about my life. I wasn't present. I wasn't fun. I wasn't energized. So think about those things, all right? Keep those in mind. Write them down. Sarah put them in the chat. But now you're going to create your story. And creating your story is what's going to lead you to this impact goal, or this why, that eventually is what you're going to share with people that's going to get them to join your team or order your products, okay? So you are going to want to start brain dumping. I'm going to lead you through 4 questions, and we're going to share all these later. We'll make a post, so listen to me now. Don't feel like you have to take this down word for word, right? But you're going to start brain dumping, because the power, guys, is in the details. The power is in the emotions that are going to come up as you're answering these questions. Because remember, what we're looking for here is to connect with people on an emotional level. That's what's going to attract them to your business. But if you're not connecting with them with your own emotions, you're not going to be able to connect with somebody else with their emotions. So start writing memories out. More specific the memories are, the better. And again, you're thinking back of what led you to start your Plexus business. My memory that I have is putting Adelaide in the car in her pajamas at 6:30 in the morning, because she had to go on that commute with me every single day. Okay? That was my memory. So think of all the memories you have. The more the better, the more detailed the better. Then I want you to think about the feelings, the lessons maybe you learned that led you to your Plexus business. All right. What are those details and feelings? This is what helps you connect to people. So I felt terrible having to put her in the car that early, right? And so really digging into those emotions of that. Then I want you to think about, what are some key experiences in your life that shaped who you are today? All right. Think of it in terms of, again, what led you to start your own business? Think about that. What are some key experiences in your life that shaped who you are today? And then what challenges or struggles have you overcome? Right? This is really like, what was it that opened your eyes to see that maybe you might need something else? You might need something more, right? So for me, mine was getting out of that commute. There was just something about getting out of that commute and owning my time that opened my eyes to this network marketing business. But when you think about struggles or challenges, some of you may have been, maybe now all of a sudden you're single, or maybe all of a sudden you have to pay for college, or whatever it is. But I want you to be careful, because when you're talking about struggles and challenges, you do not want to get down the poor me rabbit hole. You want to focus on the positive and the lesson learned, okay? Because this is what's going to churn off those emotions that's going to get you to connect to people. So you're going to need to take like 30 to 45 minutes to write all this stuff down, write everything that comes to mind, and take it deeper than you normally would, right? So I have said 1,000 times the line about putting Adelaide in the car in her pajamas for the commute. What I haven't done, though, is really sit down and think about all the emotions that would bring to me, and it even gets me choked up now to think about it. So allow yourself to take it to that deeper level. You're going to write it all down. You're just brain dumping, okay? Now, you're not going to spend the next week brain dumping. You're literally going to spend the next 30 to 45 minutes, and you're going to tap into those emotions, okay? Then, hang with me here. We're going to turn this into your why. But what I don't want you guys to do is compare whys. Some of you might be thinking you don't have a big enough story. Maybe you don't have any struggles you've overcome. Maybe you didn't have any life-changing testimony with the products. Maybe you're already pretty healthy. You make good money, right? Stop it. Stop comparing, because everyone has a reason why you're doing this. Everyone can tap into their source for their passion for their Plexus business. So what you can connect to, the severity of the situation doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your struggles were severe. What matters is the depth of the emotion. Okay? It could be something as simple as, maybe you'd like to pay for a family vacation and not have your husband pay for it. Maybe it's something as simple as you had a boss once tell you that you couldn't go on vacation when you wanted to. And that was the moment when you said, enough's enough, I'm doing this business, and that kind of changed the course for you. All right. So don't think about the severity, think about the depth of the emotion. Okay. Now I'm going to go through and give you an example of my why, because once you have all that, you're going to learn, we're going to teach you right now how to turn that into your why that you can share with people, that is short and sweet. And it's got 5 parts to sharing your why. Okay. And again, we're going to put all this in the group, but you want to think about what was lacking before Plexus. For me, I was working hard every year. I was commuting for an hour and I wasn't really getting rewarded for it. And I was tired of somebody else telling me when I could and couldn't go on vacation, right? That's what was lacking for me before Plexus. When I go through the steps, that was what was lacking. Then I want you to give an example of what the turning point was. Mine, outside of Adelaide being in that car seat, mine was, I have a distinct memory of people being in a staff meeting in a boardroom talking about my position and my salary like I wasn't even in the room. And that's when I knew I felt powerless. So question number 3 is, how did that make you feel? And for me, I felt powerless. And I thought, I am worth more. And daggone it, these people should recognize that I am worth more, right? So number 4, how then did Plexus provide that solution to me? How did Plexus provide the solution? For me, I pay myself what I'm worth now. Nobody else decides how much I get paid or if I'm even valued, right? I am in control of my own destiny. So what you're doing there is you're connecting the dots. What was lacking before Plexus? Give an example of the turning point. How did it make you feel? How did Plexus provide the solution? And then number 5 is where your impact statement comes in. This is where you say, what impact are you looking to make? So what I would say, if I was talking to somebody, I would tell them that story. I worked hard every year. The turning point was when those people were talking about my job and my position as if I was not even in the room, and it made me feel powerless. Today, I am in charge of my own destiny. I set my own value. Nobody sets a cap on my pay. And my mission today is to find people who are where I was a year ago. People who are stuck and know that they're worth more. And it just so happens that's with Plexus Worldwide. That's your impact goal, right? You see how I went through all of that and I never mentioned Plexus? I talked about what was lacking, an example, how I felt, how it's changed, and I never mentioned Plexus or the products, right? So it's simple. You're not going to mention any details. You're not going to mention the products, but it does take practice, guys. That's why you need to write this down. You need to practice it because it can't be longer than about 90 seconds, okay? Now, the next thing you're going to do, though, don't spend all week focusing on it, because I know if you're like me, you would sit down and you'd get all ready and you get out a piece of paper and you're going to practice until you get perfect. But then what happens? A week goes by and you're still practicing and you've never actually shared it with anybody. So the goal of this is not coming up with the perfect why. The goal is sharing it, because you're only going to get better at your story and sharing your why the more you practice it, right? So, but you can't master it until you start applying it. So the focus of this challenge is to start sharing it, all right? But first, really quickly, I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about what we call red light versus green light when you're thinking about sharing your why with people. Because in this challenge, The goal is not how many people you're going to recruit. The goal is not how many people you're going to get as customers. The goal is how many people you're sharing it with. You want to focus on the activity, not the results. But in any situation, I know how we are. We all tell this story in our head, right? So I want to know, and I want you guys to recognize if you're a red light or you're a green light, okay? Let's say we all have this friend named Nicole. She's someone we haven't spoken to in years, maybe since high school, maybe college. All right. I want to tell you what a red light does in their head before they decide to share their why. Okay. So you're going through the challenge. Nicole's on your list. Here's what a red light does. A red light says, oh man, Nicole, yeah, we used to be really good friends, but you know what? We haven't spoken in like 2 years. She's really busy. She works full time. Looks like she loves her job. She already makes tons of money. She's going to think I'm selling to her. I don't want her to think I'm weird. She probably wouldn't be interested anyway because she doesn't have a lot of time. So I don't really want to offend her and imply that, you know, maybe she doesn't love her job. So I don't know. Why would she want to do this? I don't think she probably needs the money. So I'm not going to reach out. If you're struggling with reaching out to potentials, you're doing this. You are red lighting yourself. You're stopping yourself before you even get started. I've done it. I certainly have been guilty of red lighting. Here's what a green light does. And green lights are your successful people. When you want to know how people recruit, all of these people, even like, you know, diamonds who are still recruiting or people who recruit 20, it's because they're green lights. They're successful. They make up a different story in their head. Here's what a green light would say. A green light would say, oh my gosh, you know what? I haven't talked to Nicole in 2 years, but she hasn't reached out to me either. I really miss her. We used to have a lot of fun together. We used to love being around each other. What if I could share my business with her? And I know she's busy, but she probably doesn't want to be that busy. She'd probably like to have some free time. I've got something that I know she would love. I've got a gift of time and freedom. What if I shared this amazing gift with her and we actually could become business partners and then we could be back in each other's lives. We could talk daily like we used to when we were in college. We could get closer again and we could make money together and impact other people's lives. You know what? I am reaching out to Nicole. See the difference? So if you catch yourself red lighting, you need to stop. You need to stop the red light. Tell yourself a different story and then share your why. So what you're going to do, guys, step 1 in the challenge, you are going to share your why with as many people as you can. Do not prejudge them. This is one of the biggest things, right? So change that story. Do not prejudge anyone. Now, also keep in mind, this is not a cold reach. You're not going to reach out to a stranger that you met in an online group and say, hey, can I share my why with you? No, it's about relationships. So if you're going to reach out to that Nicole that you haven't in a long time, you're not going to lead with sharing my why. You got to lead with building that relationship, right? And listen, once we get into it, sharing your why is going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel weird at first, but you're going to do it anyway, right? That's what makes us great. That's what's going to make us better. And you also, for all of you who are afraid of the phone, that was me, you have to make it a live interaction. You can't share your why over a text message, okay? So get on the phone, do a video chat, even face-to-face. You know, the last resort is a voice message, but absolutely no text. And then don't overthink it. Just do it. Because look, those red lights are going to happen. You're going to end up telling yourself you need the perfect script, you need the perfect person to reach out to, you need the perfect day to be in the mood. Stop it. Just do it, right? And even if you don't think someone is a good potential for you, just by you sharing your why with them, it could lead to someone else, right? So here's a couple of ways you can do it. You can lead with the direct approach. So if you've built a relationship with someone and you're ready to take the direct approach with them, you can say this. You could say, hey, you know what? I would love to share my why with you on why I started my business in the first place. I don't think I've really had a chance to do that. It may or not be for you, but would you be open to letting me do that? If it sounds interesting, great. If not, that's totally fine. Okay, so that might be the direct approach you would take for someone if you already have that relationship with, and it just leads that. You also could do an indirect approach. And sometimes this is good maybe for some fence sitters or for some other people where the relationship just isn't to that level yet. So you could say, hey, I know you're not interested in my business, but I wanted to ask you a huge favor. Would you give me a chance to tell you why I started my business? The reason is I'm looking to expand, and I want to see if anyone comes to mind when you hear my story. Would you be open to that? It would really help me out. Okay? So that's the direct and the indirect approach to sharing your why. But then what happens when you share your why, or you ask someone to share your why, and they say, sure, great, sounds good. I loved your why. Now what? Sarah is going to tell you step 2 in the challenge.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Amy, for going through that. I think it's such an impactful thing to be able to share. That's how you connect with people. People want to know what's behind your selling of Plexus, what's behind this business that you started. And I think it's really important also to realize that this doesn't have to be a mechanical canned thing. Like, you guys are sitting there chatting, you're talking, they say, tell me about this Plexus thing, and you say your why. Like, you don't say, this is my why, you just say your why story and make it conversational, because this is an approach that we're trying to teach you that's more relationship based, right? This is more about building the relationship, building the rapport, sharing from your heart, being vulnerable, being authentic. Okay, so once you have done that, say you have built the relationship, started talking to the person, shared why you do Plexus, and they say, you know what, I want to hear some more about that, I want to know some more. That's where third-party tools come into play, okay? So what we want to do, the goal of all of this, if you haven't noticed yet, is we want you guys talking to more people, but saying less to each one of those people, okay? That word vomit, that this is all I know about Plexus, this is all I know about our products, that kind of thing. We want to make it simple. We want to make it effective, and I'll tell you why. So the beauty of third-party tools, and I'll explain what they are in a second, is that it's and all of this, truly, the why, the whole thing, is it's going to allow you to have a very different conversation than what you have had before, the way that you've prospected before, the way you've talked to your people before. It's going to allow you guys to re-engage in these conversations and talk to every single person that has told you no previous to this. Because let's be honest, a no usually is a no, not right now. It's not necessarily a no, a hard no, like I'm never going to do Plexus. It's a no, I'm not ready for it right now, right? I've had hundreds and hundreds of people come back to me later on in Plexus, and my team has too. So for sure, we want to kind of revisit these conversations and have some really authentic, vulnerable conversations surrounding our why, okay? But when we're using third-party tools, what that does is that it demonstrates that this is a super simple business that everybody can do, and you don't have to know everything about it to get started, because that you're using a third-party tool to help validate what you're saying, right? So what is a third-party tool? First of all, I think a lot of us don't realize that a third-party tool could be a Slim sample. Just a simple sample of Slim can be your third-party tool, right? That adds validity to what you're saying. It gets them testing it, trying it, looking at it. It can also be a video, an opportunity meeting, a brochure or a catalog, something they can hold. It can also be the shareables that Plexus has done an amazing job of creating in our back office. But what I will say with this is that it's far easier to invite somebody to look at a tool, whether it's a brochure or a sample or a video, than it is straight off the bat to get them onto a live online event. Now, hold up. I'm not saying not to use the live online events or anything like that. It's just easier to do it this way as their first introduction into Plexus, like while you guys are talking, and I'll explain why in a second. But even when you're leading with products, even when you're not leading with the business opportunity, even when you're leading with products with somebody, at some point that opportunity is going to come up. And when they look back at how you explained all the products, when they look back at how you explained everything to do with Plexus, gave them recommendations and everything like that, the less complicated that you can make that process, the better. The less that you say, the less that you have to explain, is really so much more, because it makes it simple to them. and makes them realize, hey, I could do this too. Because they're going to come away with two things when you're talking to them about the opportunity. They're going to think, oh shoot, I can't be an expert like her. Look at how much she knew about that. That's ridiculous. Or they're going to say, I can do that. And you know what? The beauty of this is that this duplicates. So when you sign somebody up using a simple process like this, they're going to duplicate that out because they're going to use similar tools to what you use. They're going to use some similar processes to what you use. And it really is effective for the long term because your whole team can do that. They don't have to be experts, right? So the third-party tools, they should be usually pretty short. It shouldn't be a hour-long deal or, even a 30-minute deal. It should be about 3 minutes to 10 minutes, whatever you choose to use as your third-party tool. And just keep in mind, you guys, more than likely, you're going to end up throughout the sales process sending more than one third-party tool. So maybe you're talking about to them and they want the compensation plan, they want some more information about specific products or specific health issues or the business opportunity or whatever it has, then there's going to be follow-up conversation beyond that, okay? So just be prepared that it's not going to be you send them one thing and they're like, yes, sign me up, I'm going to buy Plexus. That's just not how this is going to work. It's a process. It's an education process, and you're relying on third-party validation to do it. So it's very, very, very duplicatable, very simple, very successful. And you guys, we're going to be putting tons and tons of examples on this 30-day challenge of third-party tools, okay? So you don't have to worry about going out and figuring out which third-party tools to use. We encourage you to do that too, but we're gonna give you guys lots of examples, okay? So those you're gonna be able to find that on our 30-day challenge. So if somebody, you get to this point and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, yes, I wanna talk about this, like send me this video, send me this tool. And it can be so exciting that they say that and that they're interested, and you just want to like jump on them and send them, here's my thyroid video, or here's my, whatever video. You want to pause, take a breath. You need their commitment to watch it first. And that is one of the biggest things that you can do that's going to bring this aspect success. And how you do that is you say, if you use a statement that's an if I, would you statement. So for example, they say that they're interested and you're like, great, Tamsin, I'm so glad that you're interested in this. Sorry, your face was the first one I saw. I'm so excited that you're interested in hearing more. So if I send you some really great info in this video, will you check it out today? And then she says yes. And then you set a specific time. Okay, great. I'm going to follow up with you tonight. So setting that time to follow up with them about watching the video, it incites action and it incites a timeline onto it to say, okay, I've got to do this. She is following up with me at, tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done right now, and chances are they'll return back to you before you even have to follow up because you just set that up to say, oh my gosh, I just watched the video. It was great, blah, 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 blah. If they don't, then you get to follow up at that time that you already told them to, and you're already showing what a great upline you're going to be by being true to your word, and you're taking an interest in them because you are following up, and you're going to follow up with them. So once you have sent them, you've shared your why, you've built a relationship, and you're using a third-party tool, and you're following up on that, Amy's now going to walk us into the next step. Once you've shared that third-party tool and you've kind of had that conversation, what you do next.
Unmute. Okay, so step 1 is you're going to share your why. Step 2, you're going to send that third-party tool, and we're going to put a list on the team page. The third step, and you guys have heard us say it a million times, it is a 3-way chat. Now listen, before you tell me, okay, Amy, you guys pounded in our head that we need to do a 3-way chat. This is really, really, really important though. So once somebody watches that third-party tool and you're engaging them that you followed up when you said you would and they have watched it, you're going to ask them if they're interested in learning more. Say, would you like to learn more? And when they say yes, you're going to put them in a 3-way chat. Easy peasy. That's it. You are going to, first you're going to give your upline a heads up what you're doing. Don't just throw them in a chat without letting your upline know. They don't have to be Facebook friends with your upline or anything like that. And listen, if you have an upline that's not active, go to the next upline. If they're not active, go to the next upline. Eventually, you're going to get to one of your jewel uplines, and I promise you that they're active. So the other thing is, don't be afraid of this. Oftentimes, people project onto their potential that, remember, it's those red lights. It's the stories we tell ourselves. You're going to say things like, well, you know, she's going to think I'm ganging up on her. She's not going to be interested. Nobody has time for a three-way chat. Don't do that. The minute they say that they're interested in learning more, you are going to set up the group chat. And then your upline is going to help share that information. That gives you the third-party validation that we need. It shows them that we have a community of success. Now, if you have other people in this 30-day group that are doing this together, and it's someone that you trust, you can have them in your third-party chat. It just, a lot of times it's better when it's your upline to show that you come from that sort of supportive downline team. Now, a couple of tips. Don't call them your upline. Don't ever say your upline. Don't ever say your sponsor. One, that means nothing to people. Two, if anything, it sounds a little bit scary and it turns them off. Say your friend. Okay, so I've shared my why with somebody. I sent them a third-party tool. Let's say it was on the opportunity. And I say, hey, are you curious about learning more about what this could do? And they say yes. I say, great. I am getting my friend Sarah added to this chat. She knows a lot about this, and I want her to be able to answer any questions you might have. And that is it, my friends. Now listen. If you're doing this challenge the way we should be and the way Sarah and I are doing it with you, it's not just us telling you, we're all doing this together, you're going to be overwhelmed. You are going to be overwhelmed because you should be sending this out to lots of potentials. You should be sharing those tools. And then what does that mean? It means lots of three-way chats. And I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, Amy, I'm already in 100 chats already. Well, guess what? Too bad. Like, it's a good thing. If you are overwhelmed because you have that many potentials wanting to learn more and you're doing these three-way chats, that's a good thing. You actually should be overwhelmed. All right. Now, where do you get these people from? A lot of people are like, well, who do I reach out to? Guys, it's all the people you're reaching out to anyway. It's people on your list. You're all doing your live videos. Yay. Anyone who likes or comments on those videos that aren't already on your list, get them on your list. These are more people you're going to reach out to and ask if you can share your why with them. Or you know what I mean? Like, not specifically like Sarah said, like, this is my why, here I go. But you know what I mean? These are the people you are going to reach out to. So that is the challenge. I'm going to kick it back over to Sarah so she can tell you some details on really how to rock it out and what we're going to be doing on the group.
Okay, so a lot of what we're going to be doing on the group, you guys, is we're going to start with our list of 64 with this, okay? That's the backbone that we talked about at the beginning of this group to your business. So you've got some already laid out people that you want to do. But, what this is all about and how you get to, diamond level and continue on is you're constantly expanding your network. So we're going to cover some network expansion activities throughout the rest of this month and stuff, but we're not going to hit that straight away at the beginning because we want you working with your existing network right now, right? So your goal is to be going out and to not just cold call people with your why. You want to go out and start relationship building. That's the backbone of this business. It really should be called relationship marketing, right? So, as we're moving through this, I want you guys focusing on your activity, not your end result. So like Amy said earlier, we want you focusing on the activity that you're doing, the amount of conversations that you're having, the quality of the conversations that you're having, your impact on others and making others feel special, those types of things, connection with people, okay? That's what we want you focusing on. Not the end results, because the end results, you guys, the fruits of what you're all doing in this 30-day may not come to harvest this month, and you need to be okay with that. That's a huge thing. The fruits of what you're doing right now are going to start blooming. You know, the flowers are going to start blooming later on down the road. A bunch might bloom this month, okay? That doesn't mean that these other ones that you're talking to aren't going to end up. And guess what? You might not even get to the point of sharing your why with some of the people that you're reaching out to. And that's okay. But the goal is to move in through this 3-step process, okay? This is duplicatable, it's actionable, and it's effective, okay? It's going to change your business for the future. It's going to change the way that you train your team. It's going to change everything. So it really is about who you impact, not how many you close, okay? And another part of this is, you guys, this takes self-motivation. I see so many times people saying, can I just follow you around, Sarah? I wish I could be like a little birdie on your shoulder watching everything that you do every single day. And that's all well and good. Even if you did that, it takes motivating yourself towards your goal. It takes motivating yourself towards your why. I can't make you do any of these things, which is why we're not tracking this, which is why we're not bringing up a big prize for the person that, you know, does the most of any of this. Your prize is achieving your why. Your prize is being successful in this business and making the most out of this compensation plan. Your prize is this compensation plan and a effective legacy business that you're going to be building, right? And that why, at the end of the day, that should be your motivating factor. If you're constantly looking for external influences to help motivate you, you're looking in the wrong place. You need to spend your time internally motivating to do these things, okay? So figure that out. Figure out that internal motivation. Figure out what you want out of this long term, and we're going to help you succeed at it, right? So what to do right now? We want you to first figure out how to make some time in your schedule daily for this, right? Gather the third-party tools, which we already said we'll be posting in the 30-day group, so you just watch for that. But gather others too. You know, our list is not all-inclusive. It's what we have found and what we have seen. You guys might need something else, so don't be afraid to look around. The other thing is identify who you're going to use for your group chats and talk to them about that, right? And make sure you have like at least 2 people on that list, because sometimes somebody's not going to be available. We all have lives. You know, we're not all just sitting here working our businesses 24/7, because that's ridiculous. That's not that's not what anybody on this call wants, right? So get a couple different people in your upline or in, you know, your friends or whoever that are willing to help you to be those group chat, to do the three-way chat. I can't talk. Update your list of 64 is the other thing. If you guys haven't done that yet, do it today. And then have your why story written out that Amy talked about. She's going to make a post later on today with kind of a summary of that. So with that being said, who is excited about this? We're going to open it up to just a couple questions and answers if you guys have any right away.
So Marianne has one.
Okay.
I was going to see if you and Amy could do like a sample, like a mock session of reaching out with a direct approach. Like one of you be the customer and the other one be the ambassador.
So let me show you. So it's just subtle, the direct versus indirect. And so let me read the direct.
But I figured it'd be better to just use direct because, I mean, both. I'm just saying, like, if y'all could just walk through it, like how you would approach it, and how you would do it.
I would just say, hey, Sarah, how you doing? Hey, I would love to share with you my why of why I started this business in the first place. I don't think I've actually ever really told you why I am so passionate about my business. And it may not be for you, but would you be open to letting me share that with you?
Sure.
That's it.
I mean, that's all you do. And it's just, so for instance, me, if I would go back through people that have told me no about Plexus before, and I have been doing this, you guys, it works. I'll go back to them and be like, you know what, Annabelle Coleman is somebody that comes to mind. She's one of my like dream teamers. And if I just went back to her and said, you know what, hey girl, do you have a couple minutes to talk? Silence, respond, you know, then she responds and be like, hey, you know, you've been on my mind constantly about this business. And I realized that I've never really shared more about my story and about why I do this. Do you have a second just maybe talk about that? and kind of go about it like that. It has to be your way of talking, your way of sharing. Amy's way may not work for me. My way may not work for her, because it's got to be personalized. It's got to be from the heart. People respond to authenticity and vulnerability at the end of the day, bottom line. Mm-hmm. And if you're sharing, like I said at the beginning, with that success mindset versus the significance mindset, if you're sharing because you want to impact them, like you want them to join you in this business for whatever reason that you see in them, and you're sharing your why based on that, and at the end of it you button it up with that impact statement, that is going to be, they're going to realize you're being honest and straightforward, and you're not sitting there going, I want you to try ProBio 5 so bad. You know, it's a different approach, and it's a different way of impacting them. Does that make sense?
So do you like send them that message and then you say, okay, can I call you? Do you get them on the phone, or you share it in the messenger?
You can do both. I think Amy Welch, I got her on the phone.
Yeah, if you can get people on the phone. It's exactly what you told me yesterday, Marion, about the connection and emotion you felt with that person on the phone.
Yeah.
And if they won't, if it's like if you know that's an awkward thing for me to ask this person is to get on the phone, do it in voice chat. But doing it on Zoom, just be like, hey, hop on this link for me real quick. You know, get a free Zoom account. The reason is because people are going to respond. They're going to see your face. They're going to see your emotion. They're going to hear your voice. It's very, very, very different than when you type something out that seems salesy and spammy, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody else have I think Amy left somehow. Does anybody else have any questions or anything? Yeah, let me look at the chat. I haven't even looked at that. I'm going to take it off recording now. Hold on.